Imagine living your everyday, day-to-day life with your family, and then all of a sudden a large flood hits your house, and you guys have to travel miles and miles just to try to find shelter for the night. So while you and your neighbors are facing consequences of a flood, on the other side of the country there's a major drought going on, and there's not enough water for agricultural needs. So both parties are facing food shortages, water shortages, causing them to become malnourished. This malnourishment makes them much more susceptible to infectious diseases, such as malaria. Unfortunately, this is a cruel reality for many people in underdeveloped countries, such as Africa and Bangladesh. And all drought, food shortages, and flooding are all consequences of climate change. So although us here, we may not be experiencing these types of consequences from climate change, we are experiencing much more minute climate consequences, and that includes a decline in pollinator species, big one being the honeybee. The honeybee pollinates hundreds of different types of crops, such as avocados, almonds, and coffee, all three things that many Americans enjoy. So climate change does affect us and can affect us even further in the future. So today I'll be talking about climate change. I first started learning about the environment when I started taking classes here at COC. It's a class called Bio 106. After that class, I became much more interested in the environment and wanted to learn more about it. Therefore, I took a few more environmental classes, joined the environmental science club on campus called Hands on Earth, and just started learning more about it. Also, according to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, there's a general 97% consensus amongst climate scientists that climate change is occurring. So, although climate change is often combated and some people don't believe in it, it's pretty popular amongst the scientific community. So today I'll be talking about evidence of global warming, how it affects us, and how it's being handled. So first, I'll talk about the evidence of climate change. I'll discuss global warming. Second, I'll discuss sea level rise. And then all the information I got for global warming and sea level rise was taken off an article published by NASA. So first, global warming. So since the 19th century, Earth's average temperature has gone up about 1.1 degrees Celsius. And although that may seem like a pretty minute amount, it does have catastrophic effects on many different ecosystems and the Arctic sea ice and different things like that influence climate change. Also, carbon in the atmosphere is at an all-time high. And since carbon dioxide is a hot gas, when a lot of it's accumulated in the atmosphere, it further increases global warming. So now that I told you a little bit of evidence about global warming, I'll tell you a little bit about sea level rise. So, due to an increase in melting Arctic ice, scientists have concluded that over the last century, sea level has gone up. Sea level has rose about 2 feet. According to an article written by Alistair Duell, published by Climate Central, the annual rate of sea level rise increased to 3.3 milliliters as of 2014. Although 3.3 milliliters is, pretty small, it causes a lot more issues. So now that I told you about the evidence of climate change, let me tell you about how it affects us. So first is food. So global warming can lead to food shortages because of loss of resources, such as water. It also leads to a decline in the honeybee population, who pollinate hundreds of different crops for us. So without these pollinator species, we lose a lot of crops, and so therefore it does lead to food shortages. And according to an article published by Citizens United, written by Alex Amonet, bees are on the path to extinction due to climate change. So if we don't take action against it, we will lose those pollinator species. Also, the price of food is predicted to go up with climate change furthering, because climate change causes water and energy sources. As water and energy sources, the price for those go up because they're so limited, prices of food will go up as well. In addition to food shortages, an increase in carbon levels, carbon dioxide, can lead to respiratory illnesses. According to an article written in 2015 by Brittany Patterson, a journalist of the Scientific American News, asthma rates have risen dramatically. Between the years of 2001 and 2009, the number of individuals diagnosed with asthma rose by 4.3 million. This rate is only believed to increase with climate change. Furthering by 2100, it's believed that 1 in every 10 individuals will have asthma if we don't reduce our carbon emissions. Now that I've told you about how climate change affects us, let me tell you about how it's currently being handled. So our current administration, the Trump administration, does not believe in climate change. President Trump actually thinks that it's a hoax created by the Chinese to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. He also thinks that if it's cold outside, then global warming is not occurring. But although President Trump does not believe in climate change, there are many things you can do individually to try to reduce your own carbon footprint. And so all of these tips that I'm about to explain come from the David Suzuki Foundation, an environmental organization. And so these tips include voting for climate representatives that support your own views in climate change, reducing and recycling, or using less waste in general, also using your car less and biking or using public transportation when available. All of these things can help reduce your own carbon footprint. So now that I've told you about the evidence of climate change, why it's important, and what you can do about it, I hope that you can leave today thinking about your carbon footprint so we don't have to live in a world where our house is underwater and we have food shortages. And hopefully by reducing our own carbon footprint, we can help those who are suffering from climate consequences.